the actual red line. Defending.
I think it's like
Arsenal at war with referees as fuming club compile list of decisions that have gone against them, including Kovacic avoiding red at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal were fuming after the decisions made during their game versus Newcastle. Again, I'm as fuming as with some of the ref decisions, but I'm more angry with our lack of chance creation. Nonetheless, Arsenal and referee chiefs remain at loggerheads with the Premier League club, set to cite decisions that have gone against them since the start of last season in their next meeting in a bid to prove a pattern. And I can't blame the club if you feel hard done by. While I think VAR again has become somewhat of an, not an excuse, but a wider talking point, I think we didn't beat Newcastle because we didn't create chances. Every club is being done by VAR. Refereeing decisions are going to go for and against you. But I think I speak for every footballing fan in the Premier League. We just want some consistency. Moments that have gone, right or wrong for Arsenal or Newcastle in that game, a different game. The contexts are going to be different. I don't think really we got a leg to stand on with the goal being disallowed beyond maybe a foul on Gabriel. But in the next game that Newcastle play, that same incidents could happen to them, or they could do it against an opponent and it would be ruled out, people. And they'll tell us very two conflicting reports as to why it was. I think referees get criticized. Managers get criticized. Owners get criticized. Players get criticized, even fans get criticized. The refs are no different. Of course, I believe in protection for referees and stuff like that. But again, if you're doing the wrong things, you're doing the wrong things, and there's too much points on the line. And again, everybody is quick to jump on this Mikel Arteta bandwagon. Do I think he acts a bit childish and he is a bit of antics? 100%. But numerous times he has sympathized with other managers that have been hard done by. Several times he's come out and said, I refuse to speak. I don't want to speak. The referees are trying. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. And, if he believes he's had enough, he's had enough. Because I believe, away from the bigger talking points, I feel in the last two games I've actually witnessed in the Premier League, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Spurs, Chelsea, I think the refs have failed to control the general gist of the game and protect players, if I'm honest with you. So we all know, such antics has created a friction. Apparently, we haven't gone down well among the refereeing fraternity, which again, I thought, are we going to have some integrity, or are we going to fall to human bias there, which again tells you stuff. I mean, our response is not over the top in relation to the Newcastle game, probably. But again, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. You can't keep pouring water into a mug, really. And maybe Arteta and the club are at breaking point. I don't know if everybody's wholeheartedly behind Arteta internally, but maybe they're just saying, you know what, you're a gaffer, we're getting behind it. We all know he branded the winner embarrassing. Apparently, it has created a friction between the club and the refereeing body. I mean, there has been one. You look at how we lost our unbeaten record. You look at several decisions that have gone against us. You go back to the early days of the Emirates, where only up until recent we were branded a soft touch. We've seen several players up and down this country play for Arsenal Football Club. Ramsey, Diaby, Eduardo. How many players have bust their legs, had their ankle broken, and things like that because of these rhetorics? And again, it's unacceptable, really and truly, if I'm completely honest. Apparently, insiders at the refereeing body believe the backlash from Arsenal has been totally unnecessary, adding that strides are being taken to ensure great accuracy under new chief Howard Webb. Howard Webb, who's on the same TV as Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. Is it any coincidence Sky Sports have been on a real hate campaign of Mikel Arteta, really tried to overly make the casual football fan, agree with referees, and everything you read on every news outlet is criticizing Arteta beyond a certain point and just really scapegoating him. You control the media, you control the narrative. Clearly, the PGMOL, Howard Webb and his bum chums over there, at the media outlets, they've been on a campaign to kind of clear the image or force this rhetoric about referees. It don't really make sense. But anyways, people, you can't provoke someone and then dictate their reaction. Yet this latest development is a clear indication of the fury among Arsenal senior ranks at decisions they feel have not gone their way, and there has been decisions that have gone our way, as well as flagging up Gordon's goal in their next meeting. The club are set to mention examples from previous campaigns to further illustrate their frustrations. And I think I speak for every Premier League club when I say nobody's interested in apologies post-game. And it's not just Arsenal, it's everybody. There needs to be consistencies for every Premier League team, really and truly. And that goes for every club, even Newcastle. Newcastle have been done dirty on several occasions as well. Mail Sport understands they include the 1-1 draw against Brentford in February, which saw PGMOL acknowledge that VAR Lee Mason did not draw the offside lines prior to Ivan Toney's equaliser. Why is that? We all know Manchester United last season, Martinelli's goal was disallowed. Kovacic, a bit like Bruno Gomares, should have been sent off. Somehow he's escaped that. So it is what it is, really and truly, in that regards, people. And Gary Neville has said these statements are dangerous. He's criticised Liverpool's previous statement and now Arsenal's. What do you want these clubs to do? Sit down and shut up? I'm never going to read this, but Gary Neville, you're an effing hypocrite. Do you remember who you played for? Big up Manchester United. I'm not trying to get you. How many times did Gary Neville surround the ref and things? Now, fair enough, if you've been on a soul-searching journey since you've left your playing days, fair enough. And I'm pretty sure your antics might have been there at the dugout for Valencia, or maybe they wouldn't, because you got sacked and that you might have not even been there long enough, really. So again, these are mouthpieces. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, none of these individuals have any integrity, really. They're just loyal to coin. They're part of this monopoly, which is the Premier League. So they're being given orders, really. I think when they go home, they don't believe half the things they're saying. They're puppets, essentially. But moving away from that, John Cross has allegedly said Emil Smith-Rowe is likely to be out for a month because of a knee injury suffered against Sheffield United. Smith-Rowe has been desperate for game time and minutes, so was keen to play on even after suffering the injury. Maybe that was an adrenaline. Maybe the fact that he wanted to play on shows that is positive, but fundamentally he's out for the best month for football. And we've already got injuries. Thomas Partey is a major injury concern as he could potentially be out until the end of the year. Well, come January, you need to bring in the midfielder. Obviously, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but I think I've exhausted all my energy in relation to Thomas Partey and injuries. I mean, the man's a fantastic player when fit, if fit. Availability is the best ability and things. So we knew that this was a risk, even though he was fit for 40 Premier League 40 games in all comps last season. And I believe 33 of the 38 Premier League games. We all know because of Partey's age and his contract, we probably need to find a replacement anyways and replace individuals before they need replacing. We all know about the need for strength in depth. So ultimately, we're paying that price, really. And Mikel Arteta's got to hold that, really, and find ways to plan against that. Because once the market closed, you had to have considered these things. We've seen, maybe not, normally the last 2 seasons have allowed us to have a fully fit team. And then come the turn of the year, crunch time, we've seen some big injuries. But since the start of the season, it's not been nice with injuries. Smith-Rowe, Zinchenko's held one, Timber's out, Partey's out, Jorginho's had a small knock even. Saka's had a knock. Jesus has had knocks, and there's probably more players than I can even count, people. So yeah, they have Fabio Vieira as well. Odegaard's been playing on an injury. Martinelli as well. So yeah, man, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but we're gonna have to get on with it. On the topic of Arsenal and international football and football in general, all 3 Gabriels have been called up to the Brazil squad now. Big up Big Gabby, big up Martinelli. For Gabriel Jesus, does this mean he is ahead of schedule now, or has he just been called up because they want to call up and maybe they're a bit positive about his injury? I don't know, people, because when you read between the lines, obviously Brazil are not going to call up Gabriel Jesus if there isn't any positive feedback around his injury and maybe returning ahead of schedule. They've probably been liaising with Arsenal. Maybe they just called him up for no reason and haven't had a conversation with Arsenal, but typically club and country are in dialogue. Obviously Edu is Brazilian as well as has a position at Arsenal, and he's in that unique position in that he actually held a role within the Brazilian Football Association. So have they been given wind that maybe Jesus could be back? If you're Arsenal, do you necessarily want Gabriel Jesus to go off with Brazil? I don't know. Andre's also been called up into the Brazil squad, who we're going to get onto. We've been linked with Bruno Gomares. We was once linked with, for what it's worth, and obviously Douglas Luiz. So maybe we need to buy a Brazilian midfielder. Shout out Martinelli and Big Gabriel, nice, and Jesus for the call up nonetheless. Young Hendricks there, which is a good look, man. Real Madrid are collecting these infinity stones. For what it's worth, though, Arsenal want to hold talks with Brazil over the striker's injury, people. Arsenal will hold talks with Brazil at the end of the week before a decision is made about Gabriel Jesus joining them for international duty later this month. You'll know it's another international break straight after the Burnley game. As we know, Jesus is currently out with a hamstring injury suffered against Sevilla on the 24th of October. Allegedly, he's progressing well. He remains a doubt for the 2 games this week, ironically, against Sevilla and Burnley at the weekend. Once again, he's been called up by Brazil ahead of World Cup qualifiers against Colombia and Argentina. Now, I'm sure he want to play a part. Me, that's scary because Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, Brazil, they're very physical games, really. I'm kind of shook for the other players, people. So it is what it is. Arsenal will hold talks with Brazil about that at the end of the week once it is seen how Jesus progresses this week. I mean, the man himself said he doesn't think it's a big injury, but, you know, he's not a physio. There is, and the players need saving from themselves. There's a chance the 26-year-old could return to action, which would make it difficult for Arsenal to justify him missing international duty. So maybe we have to be a bit coy and clever. The Gunners have a good relationship with Brazil as their sporting director, Edu, previously worked for them as their general coordinator. Arsenal have taken a cautious approach with Jesus' hamstring injury, which we should, to ensure he does not aggravate it and spend longer on the sidelines. Once again, Arsenal have been hit by several injuries recently, particularly in attack, and Smith Rowe is set for weeks on the sidelines. Martin Odegaard missed the defeat to Newcastle, has been struggling, and apparently this has said Partey is not expected back until next month, which is a bit more optimistic to what John Cross is reporting. Mikel Arteta allegedly wants to strengthen his striker options, with Brentford's Ivan Toney a potential January target, but they are keen to manage Jesus' fitness in the coming weeks. Arsenal already have a growing injury list, with midfielder Thomas Partey a major concern, as he could potentially be out until the end of the year, people, which means he misses this. As we know, Smith Rowe is out injured as well, people, so we'll have to see. But we was going to live or die by our squad depth. For what it's worth, Arsenal, Liverpool and Fulham all sent scouts/reps to watch Fluminense midfielder Andre in their 2-1 victory over Boca Juniors to win the Copa Libertadores. Fluminense have an agreement to sell the player in January and believe an offer of over 35 million euros should arrive. I personally think Liverpool have done their homework and they'll sign the guy. But I mean, if he does leave, he leaves in the right way. He stayed, didn't leave mid-season after offers in the summer, won a trophy with them, and now heads to Europe, people. And I think we need a midfielder. We've once again been linked with Royal Antwerp's Belgian midfielder Arthur Vermeeren. The young 18-year-old is drawing a lot of admirers and could be joining Arsenal or anyone else in a deal that's worth 15-odd million quid. Can players at 8 or a 6? I think we need 2 midfielders in addition to Declan Rice. Bring them in if possible. And you'd imagine, you know, if you get him for 15 million, you get Andre for 35, assuming this is it, then you've got 2 midfield options without necessarily breaking the bank. That takes you around 60 odd million on 2 players who look decent. You know, we spent 65 million on a player that can play everywhere, but not really anywhere. But on that note, people, smash the like button, comment, like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Stay safe, stay blessed. Make sure you're aware on Wednesday, we're doing a watch along for Arsenal Sevilla. Obviously, before that, we'll be watching PSG AC Milan together and also Dortmund Newcastle. Appreciative of you lot tuned in. God bless you all, man.
There's always that active red light defending.